Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we are back with another Division Heartland video. Now, it has been like a good 2+ weeks since I've done a Heartland video, which, as a lot of you know, means that I'm dying to do another one. I love to talk about this game as much as I can. It is my most anticipated title in the next, I don't care how many years you say, I'm very hyped for this game. Now, back at the start of September, we finally got the game's official reveal, so to say, where we got a peek at some gameplay and some other stuff, and I actually did a big breakdown video, which, funny enough, is over here on the side. Really appreciate the support on this one. It was super fun to make it. A lot of people enjoyed and appreciated that, so I love that. But there was and I'll leave a link to this in the top corner and in the description in case you want to go and check it out. Like I said, it covers everything that we learned about Heartland from that reveal, everything that was put online, all that stuff, and it's going to be far more comprehensive than this one is going to be. The reason why I wanted to do this video was when I made this, you can go look in the comments, there's like a strange amount of people who said that I was lying about the fact that there was like gameplay released, and it's like, well, if you watched into the video for a few minutes, you would see that there is indeed gameplay that they put out at Ubisoft Forward. Now, granted, it wasn't a lot of gameplay, so I can understand if people were frustrated or disappointed by the lack of gameplay, or how much they showed. But there was indeed gameplay, and if you analyze over it, there's a lot of very interesting details you can pick up on that weren't necessarily highlighted or spoken about in the commentary playing over the clips. So my main objective with this video is to recap some of the major highlights from this gameplay tease, and it's the developer intro video that we got back at Ubisoft Forward for anyone who may have missed it, or anybody who clicked off of my other video thinking there wasn't gameplay, even though there was. And additionally, I want to show off a few things that I picked up on after combing through this ever since it came out, because I made that video like less than 24 hours, after that original drop happened. So there's been some time to look over it, some things other people have pointed out that I picked up on that I want to show to you all, and it's another chance to talk about Heartland, so that's an absolute win in my book. I've picked out 6 major points that I want to hit on throughout this 1-minute 12-second video that we got that I want to point out to you all and talk about, so without further ado, let's go. Quick insert, because I forgot to mention it, I am going to leave timestamps for each of the 6 different points and details that I'm going to go over down in the description below in case there's one or a few of them that you are more interested in or didn't know over the others, so feel free to browse around doing that. And also, I just have to mention, I've replayed these first like 3 seconds so many times, both, before recording this and just when I'm watching it on my own, because how awesome is this little riff that they do right at the start? I love that so much. It's so insignificant, but I love it so much. All right, here we go into the Heartland breakdown. All right, the first one is melee weapons. Now, this is something that a lot of people did indeed pick up on, but since they didn't actually mention them by name in the commentary, they just kind of threw in a few clips where you can see the melee weapons. I wouldn't blame anybody if they didn't necessarily pick up on them. This is the most obvious clip where you can see it happening. You can see that this agent is running with a machete, and you can see that down here on the HUD. It's a pretty quick clip. Let's find the start there, but you can see that indeed there are melee weapons in the Division Heartland. This is backed up by some further artwork that was put online and everything like that. You can see it on their backpacks in all the promotional images and stuff, and it is just super exciting. I have been wanting melee weapons ever since the Division 1. It's just such a cool concept in general, a whole new way to engage in combat and to play the game, and I think that's pretty cool. You can see, I think this is the only other major clip where there's a melee weapon shown. This one's a bit blurrier, but down in the corner you can see it's a bit of like that looks like a hunter axe to me, does it not? Which is dope. That's awesome. You can see them carrying it down there. So we have melee weapons coming in the Division Heartland, a brand new type of weapon to the Division universe, and that is super, super cool. Next up, I want to talk about the survival elements of the game, because as can be seen, I bookmarked it here somewhere, right here, you can hear Keith Evans, who's commentating this, say that Heartland is a survival action shooter.
Fans of the franchise. Heartland's a free-to-play survival action shooter
survival action shooter, but then they don't actually go into any details about how that is necessarily going to incorporate or play into the gameplay. Well, there was some speculation on that, of course, when this video came out. A lot of people started talking about what that might entail, and I found a few frames here where you can really start to get an idea of what that might actually be all about. So if we go to this one, let me play a little bit. So if you play the original survival in Division 1, or you just play Division overall, some symbols reoccur and might look pretty familiar to you. One of those being this little water bottle right up here. Now this looks awfully similar to the water bottle icon, the red, that was used in the original survival back in Division 1, where thirst was indeed a survival mechanic that ended up impacting your gameplay if you didn't stay up on your thirst levels and keep hydrated. So I absolutely think that is what this is referring to, and I think that thirst and hydration will absolutely be a survival mechanic within the Division Heartland. Additionally, and again, they don't really talk about this by name a lot, but there is a big hint at there being a lot of contamination within the Division Heartland. And a lot of the clips on the mini-map here, you can see these red outlines that look a lot like what you might find in the dark zones in Division 1 or 2, those contaminated areas. You can see the giant wall of contamination right here, and so I think between thirst, contamination, maybe even others, there are multiple survival mechanics that are going to be incorporated into the Division Heartland, and hopefully that makes a lot of survival fans pretty happy. The next bit I want to talk about is skills. Now, it's obvious that skills are going to be a part of the Division Heartland. You can see that pretty clearly right here that this agent has a turret. If we go to the start of the clip, I think you can see the turret firing at the enemies. It's shooting at those rogues over there. But something that someone actually pointed out in the comments of that big breakdown video I did and that I had to kind of keep looking at over time to really find out was that it seems that skills are no longer going to just be a click and use type of deal where they have a cooldown and then there's, nothing you have to really worry about in terms of always having one available. It seems they might become a consumable, or you have to have some sort of thing to allow you to use a skill, and that's on a finite amount. And the reason I say that is you can see down here on the HUD that's right above the grenades, but instead of it just being an icon, it has a 0-0 next to it. It's orange because this one is active, but this would imply that once this turret is destroyed, you can't use another skill until you reacquire whatever sort of consumable is going to allow you to use that, because it's just like the grenades. They have the subscribe button there. You have one grenade, 0 on the turret symbol. So whatever skills you may have in your loadout seems like they might no longer just be on a cooldown, and you actually have to scavenge and use them sparingly, and that's a pretty cool idea. Next up, I want to talk about PvP, and that is because while it is said, I think in here, but it says online that Heartland is a PvEvP survival action shooter, but they don't really talk about it at all or show it much in this gameplay. Well, you can actually see if you freeze frame it here, and this is something that I missed in my original breakdown. If you look down in the corner, it says Agent Salem has killed Agent Michael in a kill feed there, very reminiscent of what you might see in Div 2 or in, Div 1 Last Stand, anything like that. It's a typical PvP kill feed. And so I think, because this is Agent Salem right here, I think, even though you can't see it because there's like an explosion, this is probably another agent that they've just downed and killed, and that is what's popping up in the kill feed. So again, even though it's not really highlighted or talked about in this commentary, there is indeed PvP in the Division Heartland, and it's nice that they included at least one little bit that fully confirms that in the gameplay. I also wanted to talk about crafting if we go towards the end of the video here. This is something that I believe I did touch on during that original breakdown, but I don't think I quite underscored how important or drastic this could end up being for the flow of the game. And that is that you can see right here that the mission details that this player is going into is to install crafting on the go. Install a crafting module at the SHD beacons in town to activate beacon crafting. So what this would make it seem as though is that when you go into the match and into Silver Creek, there are areas in which you can actually craft while you're on the go, as it says. And that is a big change from the Division 1 or 2, where crafting was always limited to safe areas where you're just crafting gear that then you could then go out and use. But who knows what kind of things you might be able to craft on the go. And just the ability to do that drastically changes the game, especially if there's going to be survival elements involved. Who knows if you might be able to craft things that can help your survivability, stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be a big game changer. And again, just wanted to really underscore that because I don't think I quite did it justice last time. All right, and then last up, by far the most important thing I want to cover here is that if you go to one of these clips towards the end of the video, you can see, I gotta freeze frame back a little bit so we can see it right, or forward I should say, that Kerman Coffee is returning in the Division Heartland. All right, obviously this is a bit of a joke. I just wanted to include this because I think it's funny, but it is also very cool that they're continuing the continuity and the feel of the Division world. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Kerman Coffee is just one of those, neat little details that has been in the Division ever since the first game in 2016. One of those connective tissue bits that really makes the Division universe feel alive and feel unique. And so, like I said, this is mostly a joke. I just thought it was pretty funny to include, but it is nice to see that Heartland is not forgetting its roots, forgetting the world that it lives in and is going to be taking place in. And I just think, the inclusion of Kerman Coffee, I'm sure there's going to be other hints throughout the world that pay homage to the Division 1 and 2 and continue the storyline in certain ways, and that's always cool to see. That is about all I have, everybody. There are your 6 little tidbits and details you may have missed in the original Division Heartland reveal trailer scope or breakdown, or if you are one of those people who thought there wasn't gameplay, now you've seen that there is indeed gameplay for the Division Heartland out there, official gameplay that you can go and look at and that we have just taken a look at here in this breakdown. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts on the general Division Heartland developer intro breakdown here, and just the game in general. What are you most excited for from the things that we have seen revealed to us thus far? I think mine, well, at least one of mine, has to be the inclusion of melee weapons. We talked about that. We talked about the different survival mechanics. Do you think that Thirst returning is a cool idea? What do you think about everything that we talked about? I would love to hear your thoughts, as always. That's going to do it for me today, everybody. I hope that we have a lot more Heartland stuff to talk about soon, but in the meantime, hopefully this scratches that itch a little bit and gives us some more Heartland related topics to discuss, because as you know, I am always dying to talk about it more, and I can't wait for us to learn more information as we move closer to launch. That is going to do it for me today, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold. Ow.